I can't hear you, Jonathan.
Right.
That's better.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, let's dive into our email for today. We'll have a look at the quote and the lesson, and then we'll do a bit of the text reading. So let's just say hello to Mo. Hi, Mo. Welcome. Can you hear me? Okay.
Hello?
Don't know. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. I'm quite new here, so.
Yes, yeah, welcome to our session. So we've got a few members online. John has been with us 18 months, and Christine is from South Africa. We have Jackie, who's muted, and yeah, welcome to our little club. We're going to run. This is a taste of what we do 6 days a week. So we meet, and we've just done what's called an expression session, where everyone just has a chance to share. And then we go into some teaching. So there's a quote that I share for the day, every day, send it out to members, and then a lesson from A Course in Miracles, which is usually related to the quote. So just kind of go with it, and you'll go with the flow. And I'll ask you to read a bit if you'd like to. You don't have to, but the idea is to make it interactive and participative. Are you familiar with A Course in Miracles?
If you're talking to me, yes, I
Yes,
am. I've been doing it for a year. Yes, I've been doing it for a year. I go to, I'm in England, and I go to Malvern every Wednesday to, with a teacher to do the course. And I try and do my lessons every day. I don't always remember or manage it.
And how did you find me?
Through Elaine, a friend in Tenerife. Yes, I know her from Tenerife. She was going to join tonight, but she's rescuing kittens instead.
Right. Okay. I know.
Shall I go and get my book, Jonathan? Shall I go and get my book?
You don't have to, because I share my stuff online on the screen. But you can if you want. Some people like to read it.
Okay, I just thought when you said reading, I thought I'd have to go and get my book.
Yeah, no, I just do a screen share on here, so you can read it off the screen. Yeah.
And I think Elaine has just done your masterclass, I believe. Is that right?
Elaine did the 6 weeks, actually. We did it was a 6-week course called The Art of Letting Go, and she's joined our ongoing program. So it's a 1-year program to help people to work through the entire Course in Miracles text, workbook, lessons, and manual for teachers, and the other bits, supplements and clarification of terms. So we do the whole thing, just section by section. So it's a lesson a day, that's obvious. But then if you chunk down the text and you do a section of the text every day, and the manual for teachers and so on, and the supplements, it's almost a year of continuous work. So that's what we do. Yeah, every day we meet. There's a live session. If you can't make the lives, there's recordings, and it can be a very deep dive immersion into this. John, maybe you want to just to give Christine a little taste, because John's been with us for about 18 months, and he started as having done the course for many years, but just doing the lessons, hadn't really managed to get into the text. And I think this has been really helpful to go deeper, hasn't it, John? Maybe you want to just share briefly your experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I have been doing the course for probably 20 years, actually, more. But just doing the lessons mainly. I've kind of had goes at reading the text, but never really kind of felt as though I was making progress with it or getting from it what I wanted to get from it. But that was fine, actually. Just doing the course was fine. It worked for me. It was useful. But I did feel a desire to get into to understand the metaphysics and the text more deeply, which is my main reason for being on the course now, really, because the text does have vocabulary and ways of putting things which are not easy to understand. So I think especially the text does need a teacher, and so I benefited greatly from Jono's understanding of the text. That's been really useful, and I am finding that it's not just a theoretical thing. It's a kind of it's now a much more experiential thing, which is what I was looking for, actually.
I think you had a bit of a shift because you did the course again the second time in February, March, and it seemed like you just went quite a lot deeper through some of those processes we did and really started to, it's because that's what it's about, really. It's about the universal experience, not about the theology. And that's what all these processes and practices we do are designed to facilitate as an experience, rather than just intellectual knowledge.
Yeah, very much so.
Do you feel that happened for you?
Yeah, I do feel this. I feel as though it's happening. Actually, it's a kind of a process. And I feel a kind of sense of what's the word? I know the course will work for me now. I know when I'm feeling distressed, out of sorts, I know that the course will work for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just nice to have that confidence that you can always go there and you'll find comfort and peace. And you've used some of the processes I've given you, like the 10-step letting go process.
I use that quite. Yeah, I use that quite a lot, actually. I do like that 10-step letting go process. Yeah, one thing I like about it is that it does take me fairly quickly into an understanding of we do live in an imaginary world of our own creation, and that we can do, we can get out of difficult, we can let go of difficult situations, move away from them, get out of them, get above them, whatever you want to say. But they don't have to be ongoing pain. They don't have to be ongoing painful experiences.
I think that's where I would agree, John. Is it John? Because I nearly gave up last year because it was all a little bit complicated, but the things that have resonated with me, I think it was lesson 30 something. I choose peace in this story, and when something or someone has bugged me or upset me, I recognize where I would go with that, and I've now learned to let it go, or better coping strategies, or just maybe return to the course to reinforce that I am making that story bigger or more important to me than it really is.
Yeah.
That's been the best bit for me, to let go of those things. It's just been so. But the text, I don't really understand the text.
Well, you're in the right place, and if you like to, because what we actually do is we translate. So what I found in working with people like John over hours, and we've done so many hours of Zoom calls on it, is you start to figure out a methodology that works. And so what we do is we translate it into an alternative language. So a lot of the Christian terms are changed. Instead of God, it becomes pure formless awareness of perfect love. Instead of Christ, it becomes the true self. Instead of Holy Spirit, it becomes a remembrance of perfect love. And so there's an alternative language, and those are just symbols, but they are pointing you more directly to the experience that they meant to. You know, God as a symbol I think it's a pretty poor symbol, because it's a such a short word, and it has all these connotations for so many people, because of it's been used by various religions to describe this ultimate infinite presence, often falsely. It's a false God. It's a misinterpretation. It's a false concept of God. So it can be very helpful to just change the language. Okay, well, instead of God, we use sequence of words. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is what I came up with after a kind of mystic experience. Because that's what it felt like. Yeah, it's a pure formless awareness. There's no form. It's just you're in pure awareness. There's no awareness of any form. And then there's a perfect love or oneness that's there at the same time. So hence pure formless awareness of perfect love. Now that's a much better pointer than God for most people. And so what happens is when you translate the text into this alternative language, so you read it in the original, then you translate it, then we also personalize it. So it takes some time. I mean, these sessions go on for hours, but once it's done, as of next year, then we'll have another version of the course in this alternative language with personalization. So instead of the third person, it's all theory. It's like I am. And so the text becomes very personal. And then we read it aloud, and we actually do it as affirmations. So if you stick around in the session, we'll actually do some of that, and you'll see to experience that it definitely seems to change the game, but it gives people much more of an understanding of each section, and there's chunking it down. So there might be 6, 7, 8, 9 paragraphs in the text, but it'll take us several hours to do it, because you chunk it down and you do each one systematically. And by the end of that session, you have a much better understanding of what that section is actually saying. And then, the lessons, we do the same. The lessons are less detailed, so it takes less time. The lessons also translate. And, now then, as you work through this, your understanding becomes clearer. You start putting the pieces together and go, okay, see how the text aligns with the workbook. And really, it's actually very simple. It's very, very simple. It's a very simple teaching, but it's very radical. He's saying, nothing you think is real is real. Nothing unreal really exists. Nothing real can be threatened. Herein lies the peace of God. Okay, you just got to kind of wrap your head around that. What does that actually mean? And how does that actually translate into some kind of practical philosophy that I can actually live by in this world? Nothing's unreal, and yet, I still get up every day and I have breakfast and I go to work and I walk my dog and I wash the dishes and, have a fight with my partner and do whatever, we do as human beings. And then, so how is this course then practically applicable? And that's where the rubber meets the road. That's what it's for. So I think, I'd say this, the design, the idea of this is that daily you can tap into this in whatever way you'd like to. You can join daily on a live call, 6 days a week, have 1 day off. Or you can get recordings, and you can kind of consistently tap into this and make this into like ongoing spiritual practice, ongoing spiritual gym, if you like, to really start to internalize and apply these teachings into your life. Otherwise, it can remain a series of theoretical abstractions for a long, long time. Where, intellectually maybe I understand it's an illusion, but actually in practice I still get very triggered. Things just upset me all the time, and I don't know how to let go of the upset. So it's application into practical everyday life situations, and that's part of what we talk about. We talk about stories and practice application and miracles and challenges, have expression sessions. It's all about making it practical and applicable to your life, and that's why this program exists, is to help people with that. I didn't feel 5 years ago, before I started this journey, I didn't feel like there was anything that really did justice to A Course in Miracles. Like if you were going to study it properly and seriously, that there wasn't really a program where you could tap in daily and you could get sort of detailed. I mean, there's obviously YouTube, there's loads of stuff on YouTube. You can get, free lessons and that, but a comprehensive program to take you through this book step by step, day by day, over 1 year didn't really exist as I could see it. So I created it. And it's taken 5 years, and it's a work in progress. Every day we because it's such a massive task, every day we do a little bit more and we translate another section of the text. But it seems to be pretty effective for people, helping to understand this really very simple but very challenging teaching. It's I mean, any teaching that says nothing that you really think, and nothing that you think is really real, is going to challenge you mentally, emotionally, physically, on many levels, because it's a total undoing of everything you've believed. And so generally people need support in that. I don't know anyone who's done the course entirely on their own. Everyone looks for some kind of guidance, teaching, support groups, and hence these groups, weekly groups or bi-weekly groups exist all over the world. And I used to run one in South Africa. And then I just thought, it doesn't really cut it. I mean, okay, you do it for 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe once a week. It's helpful. I'm not saying don't do it. But then what happens in between? Very often I got the feeling people wouldn't really practice. They'd show up. It was kind of a bit of a social. We have a nice chat. We talk about some of these principles, and then they carry on with their lives and not necessarily practicing. So I wanted to create, and with this technology, now we can create something where every day you can meet. You don't have to wait once a week. You can meet every day. You can discuss this stuff because it does need, it does need interpretation and discussion, especially the text. So hence this Art of Letting Go course. It started as a 6-week course, and then a 1-year program was born out of that really guidance. I just felt there's something needs to be done, and well, if not me, then who will do it? And then you find willing people like John and his wife Sue and various others have come, because to do it on your own is really difficult. But if you're interacting and engaging and you're doing this translation work, it's actually quite fun. Enjoy the sessions. So that's it in a nutshell. That's what this program is. You get an experience of it tonight, Mo. And then if you'd like to carry on, I offer a 3-week free trial. I do charge after that, just so I'm upfront. But for the first 3 weeks, you can just jump in. You've got a full membership. You can join as many live sessions as you want. You get the daily email. You get a daily text message on Telegram, which has content on the email, but it's just in a shorter version. So there's a number of ways of interacting. There's a YouTube channel you can sign up to, and you can join the live streams on YouTube. I've tried to make the information as accessible as possible, and you can dive in for 3 weeks and you can just go, okay, let me see how this could work for me. And after 3 weeks, if it does work, then we carry on. And if it doesn't, look, no hard feelings. It doesn't cost me anything for you to have the 3 weeks, because I'm running all this stuff anyway. So there's no need to feel any obligation or anything. You jump in, and if it works, and if you're serious about the course, generally people who are just, it does work, because it's going to take your understanding to a deeper level, which is what you want. Presumably, you want to really get to grips with this profound teaching and start to live it more. And the text is an important part of it. I mean, it's half of the whole book. So if you skip that, a lot of the metaphysics, the real deep understanding of the metaphysics comes through the text, and then the workbook's the application of it. So if you skip the text, you miss out on certainly the understanding of guilt and sin and how that leads to fear and attack, and the metaphysics of separation and how that led us to where we are. And so what I've tried to do is explain that in diagrammatic form, and there's a whole lot of tools and resources to help that understanding. And we go through that in the live session. So yeah, if you're up for it and you have time every day, we join once a day, and you can join any of those live sessions and see how it goes. And
is there a certain time of the live sessions? What time of the day is it, or is it?
Yeah, so it's generally at 12:30 UK time, or at 5 p.m. It's going to be either or. And I'm kind of traveling to South Africa next week, so I might have to duck and dive a bit because we've got load shedding there. But just watch, if you do want to do it, then just watch the messages I send out every day. Send out an email and a text message to say, here's, this is the time of the live calls. But yeah, 12:30 or 5. So sometimes, do you work in the day or?
I do. I'm retired, but I do quite a lot of things. I do qigong and yoga sort of things, and I'm actually
you do other stuff.
I do. I'm going away next Sunday, and I'll be completely free for 10 days. So I'll be able to commit more than this next week, which is busy. But I'm liking the idea because, and certainly when you use the word God, I had struggles with that in the beginning, and I think I've had to have my interpretation of that. And I think Carol Howe calls it love. Change the word to love. So it's getting my head around that. But definitely, I feel that I'm missing a lot with not reading the text. My course on a Wednesday, we don't do the text, we just do the lessons and discuss. And the teacher, he's very, very good, and I love him and what he does. But yes, I think there is a big chunk missing, because he'll say something and I'll think that is so far out for me. I can't comprehend it,
Yeah, because he's probably read the text. If he's a good teacher, he would have through the text and understand the metaphysics, and that's important, because that gives you the ability then to understand the basis of these texts of the lessons. Okay, so there's a metaphysical theory, if you like, that underpins it all, and mostly that's expounded in the text. The understanding of things like guilt and the separation and the ladder of separation, how we ended up here as seeming victims of the world. All of that is incorporated in the text. So you should find it fascinating. Most people do if you're open to it. It's a deep dive. If you don't want to start this week, you could start next week for the 10 days. That's entirely up to you. And then give it your all for 3 weeks, and you probably won't look back after that. It's that 3 weeks can be a profound sort of life-changing, transformational time. It's interesting you got the 10 days, so that'll allow you to really immerse yourself and enjoy it every day.
That might be an idea.
Yeah, I think so. Very good. And then then after 3 weeks, that's enough time to know whether this can work for you and you'd like to continue on this journey or not. And really, no hard feelings if you don't. It doesn't work. I'm like, well, okay, it doesn't work for you. It doesn't cost me anything for you to join for the 3 weeks. So no hard feelings. But most people who are serious about the course go, wow, this is actually amazing. It's a game changer. It takes me to a different level. Yeah, I'm in. I'd like to join with like-minded people every day and do this kind of work. And, we've got a small community. There's about 20 in the community. So you get to know people. You'll see John and Christine many times. And so that's quite nice. So you feel like you're not alone in this journey, this like-minded souls.
So I could start the 3 weeks in 10 days, in next Sunday.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, sure.
10 days.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
That might
would you like to do that?
I think I would, actually. I like the sound of it. And thank you for the opportunity to do it for free to begin with before I commit, because quite a commitment, and I am committed because I've been doing it now for almost 18
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah, well, I know what this does. I know it can add huge value, but test it out first and just see.
Yeah.
Before any money changes hands, I'd much rather okay, you convinced up front, and then I don't really like sales, to be honest. It's not my favorite. So it's well, it's not a sell, and you decide to join or you don't based on what you experienced.
Yeah.
It'll be self-evident to you after 3 weeks. And as I said, most people like Elaine jumped in. Most people are serious about the course because we do. It's done understand it's very thorough. I'm very thorough, so it gets done. We do the text and we do the lesson, and it's quite thorough and detailed. So you don't have to stay for the whole time. But if you go through the process and you've got 10 days free and you just sit for hours on these live calls, something starts happening. You'll see it's just rewiring your mind and your brain, and things just start falling into place, and you'll have ahas. I didn't get that before, but now I just got it. And so you see these awakenings happening real time every day, and you'll see other people having, and that's really inspiring. It's and it's accelerated. So instead of once a week, you're now doing it every day, and you just speed the whole process of awakening up hugely. And that's quite exciting and inspiring. If that's what you want in your life,
Sure.
Which presumably you do, otherwise you wouldn't be doing the course to start with. It's a path of awakening, entirely from the dream.
Something's drawn me to this. So
Yeah. So, you're most welcome, and join us as much as you can in that 3 weeks. Great that you can kick it off with a week, 10 days of. We can just do it as a little mini retreat or something, and then you'll also have the second part. Okay, your more normal daily life. See how that fits into your daily life and your routine. Yeah. But if you're retired, you can make the time. This is like another. Well, you'll find that it probably becomes a foundational practice for you, and then everything else fits around it. That's what a lot of people do. Yeah. Just you realize there's nothing more important that you can do than the mind training to help you awaken. Yeah. Okay, so with having said all that, let's dive into some practice. I'm just going to share my screen with you. So here we go. So this is an example of an email that I send out every day. So you'll get one of these in your 3 weeks every day, generally in the morning. So there's a quote. There's some usually my own writing. This is my kind of take on it, which is normally, well, sometimes a bit longer, but it's like a blog post. And then that leads you into the lesson. Sometimes I give you some other resources. There might be a past discussion session you can watch on YouTube or listen to the podcast. Sometimes I'll share bonus videos from people like Eckhart Tolle or someone else, just all themed, really. The day has a theme. So today's theme is about the light. So hence the quote. So we try and make it quite interactive. So Mo, if you'd like to read, if you read the quote for us, that would be great. And then I'll go into some of the teaching around it.
We are indeed the light of the world, but only if our switch is turned on. Did you want me to carry on reading?
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll read the rest. So when we get to the lesson, I'll ask you to read again and the text, if you stick around to do the text.
Okay.
So today's inspirational quote by an American pastor and televangelist called John Hagee really states the truth about what we are and how we come to recognize this very clearly and succinctly. So we need to turn on the switch. It's all very well, the light is there, but unless we switch ourselves on, we remain in the darkness. So we need to switch on the switch of our inner light. Well, light is really, we translate as awareness. It's not a physical light. It's an inner awareness, a deeper awareness of who we are. So call it true awareness. So the light of the world is the true awareness of the world. which is what we truly are. We are that awareness. So, yeah, in that little subtle reinterpretation or translation helps one to start realizing what it is. It's light is not some physical light. It's not some otherworldly light. It's actually just a deeper awareness in your own mind. So quite a good analogy to help you understand this quote is that we are like lamps. And God or light or pure formless awareness, they're all pointers, symbols to point you to the same thing, is like the electricity providing the power to the lamp. So it can shed its light for anyone in its vicinity to see. So think of that analogy. Without the electricity, the lamp is useless. No power, no light. But equally, without a lamp to shine through, the electricity is useless. It doesn't do anything unless it's got a vehicle to express through. So both are required. You are the extension of source, and the source needs you as an extension to shine its light through you into the world. Otherwise, the light doesn't come through. So we become the channels that are necessary to demonstrate this power that's otherwise hidden, and it needs lamps to light up the world. So we all are the lamps of God, lamps of this power source, and our job is to plug ourselves in to that power source and allow it to shine through us without resistance. And that's the journey we're on, the hero's journey of awakening, is to really remove our resistance to being plugged in. There's a part of our mind that doesn't want to be plugged in, wants to deny that. And although we lamps, not ever really shine. So you're a lamp, but you never actually switch on, and you never shine your light. Well, that's a pretty purposeless existence for a lamp, isn't it? If what your only purpose is to shine the light, and you never do that, it's like you haven't fulfilled your function in this world. So our job is to allow ourselves to be plugged in, and it's going to feel a little bit unfamiliar to start with. You're a lamp being switched off all the time, and suddenly, woo, the power comes through, and the lamp gets switched on, and the globe gets hot, and you're like, whoa, this is a new state of, I don't quite know what's going on here. It was more comfortable maybe being not switched on, but so it takes some getting used to. So then the question is, how do I actually allow this power to shine through me? Yeah. You may ask, how does that actually work? Well, very simply, Yeshua's telling us in the course that it's by forgiving or letting go. So again, forgiveness we translate as letting go of the negative thoughts and emotions that don't serve you. You must let go of whatever those blocks to the awareness of love's presence are, he calls them. Negative thoughts and emotions. And this unblocks the channel through which the power of this pure formless awareness or light flows into your mind. So it can reach and then extend through your mind to other minds to help them unblock their channels and let the same power shine through them. And that's all we're here to do, to unblock ourselves, to help others to unblock. The power's already there. See? We're all actually plugged in already. But the block doesn't allow the power to come through. So we've got to remove the block to allow the power to come through so that we can shine our light on the world. And the more we do that, the more we can help others to do that. Because they get inspired by us shining and they go, well, why can't I shine too? And if you can unblock yourself, then why can't I unblock myself too? And allow that current. It's the same current. It's available to everyone, but we don't plug in. Most people are blocked to it, and so they don't know that it's there. So this is a process of learning to unblock yourself and allow this power that's always there to come through. So the answer is an extension of the simple answer, to forgive or to let go of the negative thoughts and emotions. You can consciously extend love to others in the form of kind words and helpful action. So one of the big ways of undoing your own blocks is to extend the love that unblocks them. And the more you extend that love, the more you experience it yourself, the more unblocked you become, the more the power flows through you. It's like the flow of a river. If you dam up the river, there's no flow outwards, then there's no flow. You're not flowing back to the ocean, which is what you should be doing. So it's not just enough to receive, it also needs to be given. And the Course emphasizes that over and over, that, as you give, so you receive. So you give the love, you extend it out, and then you know that you've received, and then that the love is flowing in and through you. So it's not like you're holding on to it. It's just you become the channel for it to flow through you, in the same way as a light. It doesn't hold on to the electricity. It's just flowing through it continuously and shining. And it's abundant. It's never ending. That source is always there. Unless you're in South Africa, of course, in which case it's not. Christine, you'd enjoy that on the physical level. But in the spiritual level, that source is always there. It never goes away. So you just have to tap into it, and it's there. And the more you do that, and the more you extend it out and tap into it, the more you learn that it's always there, and that it can be relied on, always and in all ways, and you're never without it. And that's the faith and the trust that this whole path is about. That that you're plugged in, that your source is always there, your true awareness can never depart from you, and that gives you a sense of confidence, certainty, peace of mind that you don't have if you're unplugged. So as Yeshua says, but none of this can happen without first removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, as Yeshua phrases it in the introduction to the Course in Miracles text, which is why he repeatedly emphasizes forgiveness or letting go is the means of doing this throughout both the workbook and the text. Over and over, he's saying, the way that you get rid of the blocks is to let go of it. So what is forgiveness, you might say? Well, you don't really forgive anyone, anything, or for anything. You actually let go of your own blocks to the awareness of love's presence that are arising seemingly because of them. So let's say they trigger you, you get angry, you get upset with them because they've done something or haven't done something. It's the letting go of that, of the negative thoughts and emotions that is what forgiveness is. Which makes it very simple. I don't really forgive you because you and me don't really exist. What I do is I let go of these blocks, and then I realize when I've let go of the blocks that I was never really separate from them in the first place. We were actually always one. The blocks couldn't really separate us in truth. And so forgiveness always brings us back to that awareness of oneness. Whereas if I'm trying to forgive you, then it's actually impossible, because I, as a separate self, can't really forgive you as a separate self, because we seem to then exist in this duality. And forgiveness acknowledges the reality of oneness. So how can I, separate self, forgive you, separate self, if there's only one of us going on? You see the dilemma. Most attempts to forgive, it's like, well, you're never going to do it within the construct of duality. So as Einstein said, significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. You're never going to solve the problem of separation at the level of separation. You have to go beyond it. So instead of thinking, I forgive you, or even I love you, it's no, I am you. And I don't forgive you. I simply let go of everything that blocks my awareness of you as me. And when you do that, and you just drop those blocks, then what naturally starts to arise is this awareness of oneness, that there really isn't anything to separate you from anyone else. And that's the outcome of forgiveness. That's the outcome of the perception, is that you restore your mind to a place of oneness, a state of mind of oneness, with that person or people whom you've forgiven. But so that makes it much simpler, doesn't it? I don't have to forgive you for anything. I just have to let go of my own negative thoughts and emotions that I'm experiencing towards you because of something that you've said or done, seemingly. That's all I have to do. And it becomes very internalized. Okay, this is all about my own stuff. It's got nothing to do with you. It's actually about my own negative thoughts and emotions, which may have been triggered by you. But if I can recognize that you're just the trigger for these resident thoughts and emotions that are now coming out, then I can more easily let them go. And when I do let them go, I will access this source of power. I will experience it because that's all that's left. So the idea of this is, instead of trying to become something, you actually unbecome and you undo. So you cut away rather than you, let's say, to use another sort of analogy. In art, if you were an artist, some teachings will say, well, you want to paint the most beautiful painting of your life on a blank canvas. If you heard that analogy. Life's like a blank canvas, you can paint whatever you want. But that's actually a misinterpretation. And that wouldn't be very helpful, because you're actually covering over the formless, which is the blank canvas, with form. And you're just saying, no, you actually want to remove the form. So you want to go in the opposite direction. So you would want to blank, you would want to take eraser and you want to erase whatever's on the canvas already. That would be more closer to what A Course in Miracles is. Take the solvent and just erase the paint. Or if you want to use another artistic analogy, it would be like sculpting. Michelangelo is probably the greatest sculptor of all time, was asked how he sculpted the David and other amazing works. And he said, well, all I do is I cut away what is not the essence of what I'm sculpting. So I cut away, let's take the David, his most famous one. I cut away whatever is not David. And then what remains is David. Very interesting idea. So he didn't create David, he revealed David. David was already in the block of stone, and his job was to reveal it. Now that's much easier than trying to create it from scratch. So interesting that he had that thought process and that he sculpted these, amazing masterpieces, which people were astonished at. They said, how did you do it? Because it was already there in his mind. He already accepted it as there, you see. And then all he had to do was cut away what wasn't it to reveal it, which is much simpler than going, well, I'm coming from a place of lack. Let's look at the other analogy of painting. I'm coming from a place of lack, and now I've got to paint this masterpiece on this blank canvas. And it's got to be, it's got to be the best life I can possibly paint. So then we start painting and filling in the, covering over the blank canvas. And then we start wondering, well, is this actually the best I can do, or could I do it differently? Could I be better? And, you might paint a painting and then you look at it and you go, no, well, that's not quite good enough because I could have done it differently there. I could have done it differently there. And then it's never quite enough. When is enough enough? When is the painting ever good enough? See? And so that's called the hedonic treadmill. You keep looking for more and something better. And you're never satisfied with what you've done, because you always go, well, I could do more. I could do more. I could be better. So you haven't accepted perfection as accomplished. You're always striving to make things better, and you never get there because there's always more you could do. So those are the two kind of ways of living your life, corresponding to these two thought systems that Geshe talks about, the Holy Spirit or the ego. The Holy Spirit just cuts away what's not real to reveal what is. Much simpler than trying to take a blank canvas which you feel is somehow lacking and missing something, and then you try and paint in and fill in the blanks and paint something that is meaningful. And that when is enough enough? When is it ever going to be good enough? How do you know it's the best you could do? Maybe you could have painted an entirely different picture, a better picture. And so you're never satisfied in the second methodology, and that's exactly where the ego wants to keep you. That's its thought system. Okay, so there's a little bit of teaching. So that should prepare us quite well for the lesson, which is again about the light. So let's go into this document. So if you want to read that, I'll have to go and I'll see you soon. Thanks, John. Okay, thank you, John, for your contribution. It was short. So the light of the world, if you want to read the original and then the alternative for us, Mo.
The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. The true awareness of the world brings peace to every mind through my letting go. Okay.
So you see, now read that second one again. See how that changes your understanding of that subtly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it changes it completely. The true awareness of the world brings peace to everyone through my letting go. And you made absolute sense there about forgiving someone for doing something that, yeah, it's about the duality thing again. I'm hearing a lot about duality and working that out, but yeah, letting go, yeah.
So if you can just let go of your negative thoughts and emotions towards anyone, that is what forgiveness means.
Yeah.
But if the Course says, well, I forgive, you forgive your brother, it's very easy. I think a lot of people get very confused. Well, what does that actually mean? What is that actually like? How do I actually do that? And then they struggle with it. Well, how do I actually forgive my brother? I must now forgive this other person for the imagined sin. And I might have an idea that everything's imaginary. That can be helpful, but I still identify myself as a separate self trying to forgive them. It's not very helpful. You're never actually going to accomplish much with that. But if I can focus in on my own negative thoughts and emotions, I can say, well, let me go into my true awareness beyond these negative thoughts and emotions, the light, and then I experience that, and then from that place, I'm now in my true awareness. I'm now much more peaceful. Then I can be an agent for peace in this world, and I can express and extend that peace outwards in my thoughts and my words and my actions. And ultimately, he says this will bring peace to every mind, because ultimately it will. The people, if you take it realistically, you say, well, that's ridiculous. The ego will tell you, well, that's not possible. How can you bring peace to every mind? But conceptually, you can. That's the point. Conceptually, this true awareness will bring peace to every mind. So when you are in the true awareness and you're gone into peace, then you're part of the process that will bring peace to every mind through your this letting go process. So like the truth just gets extended out to everyone universally. And in linear time, that might seem to take a long time, but then he's telling us time is not linear. All of that is actually part of the illusion. So it's all perfect. So right now, right here, right now, you are, perceiving these words, listening to these truths. That's all absolutely perfect on your timeline. That's exactly where you need to be right now. And this kind of teaching just helps you accept that. You get off I'm seeking and I'm not finding and I'm still craving something that's outside of me to make me feel better. No, I accept the true awareness of the world right now. Okay, so just the key idea, then there's 4 paragraphs to read. So I'll ask you to read the first one. So if you read it in the original, is that big enough, by the way? I can make it
that's fine.
bigger.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank
Read
you.
it. Read original in the up here in the black, sentence by sentence. So read first sentence and then go down to the alternative, which is down below it in gray, and then just see how it changes it. You know, the words that change just change the meaning, change the sense and the interpretation of it. It gives you a second go at it.
Yeah, okay. How holy are you who have the power to bring peace to every mind? How pure are you who have the power to bring peace to every mind? Oh yeah, I prefer the alternative.
Yeah, you see. So the idea of the alternative is to try and make it a bit more practical and kind of real for you. Accessible. Because what does holy even mean? I use this holy quite a lot. What does that even mean? I think a lot of people read the course and they don't really know what holy is. It's like holier than thou. We have, again, all kinds of conceptions about it, depending on your upbringing. If you're brought up in a Christian upbringing, you know, you've talked about holy, and then we have this sort of often quite a negative perception of the word. You know, people are very holy or kind of pious, and they, you know, the idea of holier than thou, it's not a particularly good connotation in our minds. So, you know, if you had experiences that have tainted the word holy, then don't use it. Just change it. You know, pure. How pure are you? Have the power to bring peace to every mind. Yeah, okay, my mind is pure. Much simpler. Just a better pointer into something deeper in your understanding. So that's all we're doing. We're taking selected terms and you just translate them. But that one translation changes the meaning of the whole sentence. So imagine doing that throughout the whole course. You know, the whole course takes on a entirely new dimension. You get a new perception, a new perspective on everything. And if you prefer the original, then you've got the original. It's done in the original and the alternative. In the translation, what we find is that there's more understanding. So by spending a bit of extra time, and you go, okay, well, let's read it again. Let's read it in the alternative. And then maybe we have a little discussion about it. Suddenly, you know, you get a lot more out of that line than you would have otherwise. You know, you just read that paragraph. You can read it very quickly. We could have read the whole lesson already in a minute or two. And then but you know, how much have you really absorbed and internalized? Probably not that much. Whereas by slowing down, you know, having an alternative that makes you slow down, by considering, okay, what words have changed, by taking the time to pause after each line and say, okay, well, what does that actually mean to me now? It's you know, it's learning. It's a deeper learning that's going to come about.
And it's instead of understanding, because understanding is a kind of cognitive, intellectual way of looking at it. It's about absorbing and processing, I guess.
Yeah, if you can experience it, understanding really comes when you have some kind of inner experience. And that can be a combination of thought and emotion, generally is. But something shifts, you have an experience, and then you go, oh, I kind of get it. You know, I got the understanding now. But it's not just an intellectual understanding. Understanding always has this emotional component of a feeling. When you really understand something, you know, there's a deeper feeling.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, Christine, if you need to leave us, that's fine. Kim's taken over. So do you want to continue though? How blessed are you? You can read.
How blessed
In fact,
you?
I think there's going to be in the next two, there's no translation. So just read it in either the alternative or the original.
How blessed are you who can learn to recognize the means for letting this be done through you. So how blessed are you who can learn to recognize, yes, done through you. So it's the same, the alternative is the same.
Yeah, that doesn't really need any
No.
translation. You're not translating just for the sake of translation.
No.
It's to make it something clearer. There's a necessity for it.
Yeah, the means for letting go. Yeah, I feel I have forgiven. You know, again, I don't know the true concept of the word, but I think I am at peace with things that I have no control over. But forgiveness feels peaceful, so yeah, I'm there.
Great. So carry on. What purpose?
purpose could you have that would bring you greater happiness? What purpose could you have that would bring you greater happiness? Okay. Yeah. What purpose? Yeah. Yeah. I don't
So
know.
it's just telling us, very clearly, what could be more important. What could give you any greater happiness? And he's trying to change our mind.
Yeah.
About what we believe fundamentally, because the ego has told us that there's many other purposes that could bring us greater happiness. You could do that, you could do this, and you'd be better off. You'd be happier.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's saying here, no, actually, you won't be. There's only one purpose that will bring you the happiness you yearn for. And that's within your own mind. It's nothing outside of you.
Okay. That takes a lot of processing, but I'd like to go away and think about all that, if that's okay.
Yeah. Well, but stay with us until we finish the lesson, at least. So, number 2, paragraph 2. Let's ask Kim to read. So, Kim, can you hear us? Welcome. Kim's from Cape Town, South Africa.
Hi, Jono.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
So, do you want to read number 2 in
Yeah.
the original and then the alternative?
You are indeed the light of the world with such a function. The Son of God look. You are indeed.
Yeah. That needs some translation. Sometimes I miss stuff.
Okay.
You are indeed the true awareness of the world with such a function. So we're translating light as true awareness.
Okay. You are indeed the true awareness of the world with such a function.
Okay. 2.
The Son of God looks to you for his redemption. The extension of perfect love looks to you for his redemption.
That probably needs a change. So it's so trying to avoid the his, her. And the extension, Son of God, is capitalized. So then the idea is it's capitalized here. So it's rather than being a he or she, this extension is the mind. Extension of perfect love is the Son of God. So we are the extension of this perfect loving presence. And the extension looks to you for its redemption, because it needs redemption or awakening. And you become the example. You become the way shower in this world, in the same way as Yeshua was. He awakened to the light, and he became an example of it, who's then inspired many other people to find it within themselves. And he's asking us to be that light and shine our light, so we inspire other people to find it. And help them to awaken. I might just show you the hero's journey. Are you familiar with something called the hero's journey?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Good. So the hero's journey is exactly this, just coming from a different perspective. Let's just bring that up. So this is a document that I used in the course a lot, and we still use it as a reference. You'll see quite a lot of this. So where are we? Hero's journey is down here somewhere. There we go.
Yeah.
So our function is to go through this process of the hero's journey, to train our minds to ultimately collapse the ego come out the other side as completely different, as at one with our source. And then we return to society, and then our function is to help others to do the same thing. So we then become a mentor or guide or helper on the journey for other people. And that's how we serve our function as the light of the world, to help others to make the same journey as we did. So this is what he's referring to in the brief in the lesson. Or indeed, the light of the world is such a function. The true awareness of the world. Okay, so Kim, you want to carry on?
Yeah.
It's yours to give him.
It is yours to give him, for it belongs to you. It is yours to give him, for it belongs to you.
Let's change that to it's yours to give everyone. Then we try and remove the duality, really, of the gender. His, hers. Rather use a term that's gender neutral, to give everyone. It's yours to give everyone, for it belongs to you. So because it belongs to us, we can give it freely and generously to others. If we don't feel like it belongs to us, we can't. Okay. The next one, accept no trivial purpose or meaningless desire in its place.
Accept no trivial purpose or meaningless desire in its place, or you will forget your function and leave the Son of God in hell.
Alternative. Alternative, Kim, if you want to read that.
Accept no trivial purpose or meaningless desire in its place, or you will forget your function and leave the extension of perfect life in victimhood.
So we again, Son of God is extension of perfect love, and hell is victimhood. So what is hell? Well, it's actually the state of feeling like you're a victim of the world. So again, it becomes very, very practical. Okay, so when I'm in victimhood and I'm believing that I'm unfairly treated and I'm being attacked, then that's a state of hell. So these translations, and hell in this diagram, which I'll show you in a lot more detail at some point. This is explaining the entire metaphysics of the course. So if you stick around in 3 weeks, you'll get to look at this a number of times. But hell is this helpless, enervated little life. Of victimhood, lack, loneliness, suffering, where our bodies die. So this is what we're referring to when we say victimhood. It puts you in that state of feeling very small, very contracted, very afraid, because your apparently separate self, you can be hurt, suffer, and die. Okay, and then this is no idle request. We'll finish the paragraph.
This is no idle request. It is being asked of you.
Yep, it's going to be the same.
This is no idle request. It is being asked of you.
Okay, number 6.
you are being asked to accept salvation, that it may be yours to give.
So I'm being asked to accept awakening so that I'm going to sow there. So you see, Mo, as we go,
Yeah.
I just improve it. It's like, because I'll
Yeah.
have one go at it, and then, okay, well, that could be a bit refined, and then all I do is edit the document. And then that's available to you. I send this out on the email and Telegram. And next year, when we get to the lesson, we have a document. So then it's done, and you can read it in the original and the alternative. So this will ultimately produce another version of the course that's written in an alternative language, and just chunk it down into bite-sized chunks like this. So it's more like studying. You don't read it, you study it. Done in this way with the alternative, it's more like, okay, I'm going to spend some time actually studying this rather than just reading it. I think it's a mistake. You read a chapter of the text, you could read it in one sitting of maybe half an hour, but how much you can absorb of that?
Yeah.
Probably not that much. Most people end up falling asleep. That's what happens. They start tuning out. Of course, as well known, you're like 3 paragraphs into it, just like dropping off. Because the ego is resistant. One of the best defense mechanisms is, well, I get tired. I'm too tired to do this, and then I drop off. But actually, I could be wide awake and go watch some TV or do something else, because I'm not actually that tired. It's just when it comes to doing the course, I get tired.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yes, definitely.
Cure for insomnia. Read a section of the Course in Miracles text.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're interacting and engaging and talking about it, it's easier because it's a conversation. So that's part of the benefit of getting together and studying it together.
Yeah.
Okay. So any thoughts on number 2? Kim, do you want to just summarize number 2 for us? So what I'm also doing, see, I'm going to record. I do a little transcript. Well, I'm going to record the summary, and then at some point that'll be transcribed, and the transcription will be available to you as a member. I'll get it done through an AI bot, and we'll actually write it out. So we type it out, and then there'll be a commentary on each section, summary. So yeah, I mean, it'll be it is already comprehensive, a very comprehensive resource for anyone wanting to study. Okay, so would you like to summarize that, Kim? What's he saying in paragraph 2 there, in summary?
Well, I think what he's saying is, as the Son of God, with the extension of perfect love, which is you, I, and everybody, we have this function, this one function while we're here in the stream of forgiveness. So it's up to us to forgive everyone, and this is what belongs to us. Anything else that tries to replace it has no meaning. And if we don't take on this function, we'll dwell in this victimhood or hell. So we're asked to accept this completely. And as we have this, we can give it to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really give something if you haven't accepted it yourself. So saying, well, I accept it, for myself and I give it, and then the more I give it, the more I learn by my giving that I accept it. That's how it works. So as I give it, I know that I've received it. Because how can I give something that I don't have? It's not possible. So, but in the giving, we start learning that we have it, which is why he emphasizes this extension idea so often. We must extend it out to all of our brothers and sisters. And then we come to know it as ours. So completely the opposite of the ego's logic, which says, well, when you give something, then you don't have it anymore. Given it away, you've lost it to someone else. Because it's always, the ego is always focused on the level of form. Okay, so anything else you want to add in number 2?
Just remind me again what true awareness is replacing in the original text.
Okay, so true awareness is replacing the light.
The light, right.
The light, which sounds really nice. I mean, light is it's very poetic. The light of the world sounds great. But what does that actually mean? It's a question. What does the light of the world actually mean? Well, it's not a physical light. There's no physical light in your mind. It's an awareness. That's what it means. A true awareness in your mind. That is a clean, pure, holy. Again, these descriptive terms really are just pointers to that awareness. It's pure. In other parts, we call it pure formless awareness. It's a pure formless awareness of perfect love. Okay, so anything else? I mean, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But as you go through it, you start seeing, maybe Mo, you're getting the methodology. You start contemplating these ideas on a deeper level. You go, okay, so what does that actually mean? How do I understand this? The translation helps you. And now we've got a little summary. So that's recorded. And at some point, I'll get that transcribed and then put into a platform, online platform, and all the resources will be available to you. So you can go and check out this. You can read the translation in text. Then you could listen to the summary in audio. You could read the transcription of the summary, that paragraph, and all of that's about learning. These are learning resources to really help you understand this on a deeper level. Okay, so number 3, Mo, if you can go back, recognize the importance of this function. So that's going to be pretty much the same until we get to the actual there. So just read it in the original up until number 4, and then just read the original and then the alternative.
Recognizing the importance of this function, we will be happy to remember it very often today. We will begin the day by acknowledging it and close the day with the thought of it in our awareness. And throughout the day, we will repeat this as often as we can. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. I am the means God has appointed to for the salvation of the world.
Okay, and then alternatively, read the alternative. You'll notice that the just a quick pointer here, in the alternatives, I always italicize the translated text. Yeah, so you know which terms are being translated, and if they're already italicized, as in this case, because they're all those 2 sentences are italicized, then I bold it, so then you know which the translated words are. Okay, so number 4 and 5.
4 and 5. The true awareness of the world brings peace to every mind through my letting go. I am the means, pure formless awareness of perfect love has appointed for the awakening of the world.
So then you read that. Maybe just read it again and dwell on that for a bit. And I mean, that's really the key part of the lesson. those two lines.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Does that change your understanding? Do you connect with it on a deeper level? Do you feel something?
It resonates better.
So generally, that's the case. Most people resonate more with this alternative, softer language, and it just brings in something that often the original lacks because of the language. The true awareness of the world, that's my own true awareness, brings peace to every mind through my letting go. So my letting go is what allows this to happen. And again, the ego will say, well, how's that possible? But remember, there's no order of difficulty in miracles. So yes, it's absolutely possible on a mind level. It's not really about the level of form. It's about what happens in the mind. So you can always let go of any negative thought or emotion. That's entirely possible. That's why there's no order of difficulty in miracles. A miracle is a shift or a correction in your perception. No order of difficulty in doing that because it's just a change in mind. And that's not, the physical is not relevant to that. It may extend out, once you've had that kind of a shift, it may extend out as a miracle. So to go back, look at the integral model, which is here. So this was a model created by Ken Wilber. He was a very bright man, read extensively, and then holed up for about 2 or 3 years and just came up with this model as a kind of theory of everything. So he's talking about the individual and the collective dimensions of life, and the interior and the exterior dimensions, and then where they meet, they intersect. You've got these 4 quadrants, which have these different properties. So what the Course is saying primarily is saying, look, everything's here. Actually, your salvation, your awakening lies here in your thoughts and your emotions, your memories, your states of mind, even your perceptions, exist in mind as the I, subjective self. Now, the ego tells you that this I, subjective self, has been created by separation. It's going to it extends itself, expresses, projects itself out, is the correct language, into the external world as all of these things, the material body, performance outcomes. And so we got ourselves in a bind, really. This false belief system now projects out falsely. We believe this because it's the projection of our own belief, and it feeds back in and says, yes, this world is true. And that's how we get stuck, because the feedback mechanism tells us that the thoughts that we're now seeing expressed here are real. And we get the confirmation. So he's asking us with the Course in Miracles to reinterpret this and say, no, actually, if I go here and I really hold to this new thought system and these new beliefs, then I'll start to see that these effects, better effects, start showing up in my objective reality. And then that can come in and feed back in. Once you get a confirmation, you notice that feeds back into your subjective I self, and you feel strengthened. So really, this is just it's a useful tool to help us understand what's really going on in the Course in Miracles. He's dealing primarily in the subjective domain. Of course, he's pointing us within into the domain of our mind, our thoughts, emotions, memories, states of mind, and perceptions. And then sometimes you refer to external results, but not very often. So the primary focus is here. In this world, in this world we live this. We find this in our deeper mind, and then we express it, extend it out, and then we get the effects of it. And so the process is, the corrective process is, we'll change your mind here in the interior, and then the external will change, and you start to see these miracles in form, things shifts that are really just the true miracles, the correction of mind, of your thoughts and your emotions and your state of mind. But then that can get reflected in the external world, and that then feeds back into our mind, and we go, oh, well, actually, that was good. I did something, I changed my mind, and now it's actually been positive. And so in the same way the ego uses this mechanism to enslave us into its negative thought system, the Holy Spirit can use this positively to free us. Does that make sense? So quite a key teaching of the course, and this integral model just sort of puts it into a diagrammatic framework, which makes it hopefully more helpful to understand. Okay, so what is he, Mo? What is he saying here in summary in paragraph 3? Just in your own words, like what's the the key takeaway is really incorporated here?
In number 4, is the true awareness of the world.
Well, it's the whole paragraph. So what is he saying in this paragraph in summary? If you were going to just say, okay, well, this is what he's saying in the paragraph in a minute or two, and you're having to describe it to a friend, what would you say?
That I don't know, to be honest. By repeating and absorbing what we're made of, and our perception of the world isn't necessarily how we see it. That is what we have to repeat to ourselves.
Yeah, so it's giving us a methodology. This is a little bit of practical, like coaching, saying this is the coaching methodology. You need to do this repeatedly to learn this, and then the teaching is quite a simple one. So what is he saying in these 2 lines?
Not certain, actually, Jonathan. I'm not quite sure how to process that.
Okay, so that's fine. I'm kind of jumping in the deep end, but what ideally you want is just to kind of go, yeah, okay, well, this is what he's saying, and if I can frame it in my normal language, then I've understood it. So he's just saying, really, I'll help you out. This true awareness within us will bring peace, not just to us, but to every mind. And the catalyst for this is letting go. When I let go of my existing thoughts, emotions, and anything that disturbs my peace, then I'm accessing my true awareness, and the natural result is peace. Peace and true awareness go hand in hand. And then I am the means, pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is God. So this true awareness in my own mind is a derivative of this pure formless awareness of perfect love. It comes from that. This diagram might be quite helpful in terms of the Holy Trinity to understand how these levels work. So at the top level, you've got pure formless awareness of perfect love, or God, also called any of these other terms: Father, Heaven, Truth, Oneness, Being, Source, Knowledge, Life, Spirit, Reality, Essence, and there's many, many others. So this is ultimate reality. This is ultimate truth. You cannot deconstruct that. It cannot be destroyed, and it's beyond all illusions. And now saying, well, this pure formless awareness needs to be expressed in the dream world. It needs channels. It needs a way to be expressed in the world. So I can express it if I allow it to come in through my mind. And so now it comes through down from the top level. We call this level 1. Course teaching. From the top level, and it comes through into an intermediate level, which we can call the true self or the Christ, or the Son of God. This is what he means by the Christ or the Son of God. And now it gets extended through that self into perceptions. So you get true perceptions, Christ's vision, miracles that are helping you to learn this thought system. They're helping you to learn that you are one self. You're not apart from anyone else. And then ultimately, if you're totally rooted in this one self, it's a derivative of pure formless awareness of perfect love, which can only have one self. But at that awareness, in this awareness, there's no sense of the self-concept. It's just pure awareness.
Thank you.
So if you go back there from the perspective of that diagram, does it make a bit more sense? You've got true awareness coming from this pure formless awareness of perfect love, and that streams through into our mind. And now we can have a sense of our true self, and we can have perceptions of all of the people, places, events, circumstances, and situations in time and space going on. But those are inspired perceptions because they are deriving from this awareness. It's like, to use our electricity analogy again, this is quite a helpful way of understanding it. It's like at this top level, it's a very high voltage, high voltage, which a normal appliance couldn't handle. It would fry the circuits. So it has to be stepped down into something that is useful at a lower level. And that's exactly what this process does. You step down to the Christ, which is a sense of a true self. So there's only one self, but it's still kind of conceptual. Still a sense of a self, whereas in this there's no self. It's just pure formless awareness. It's just pure awareness. But this is useful because this Christ self or true self can perceive. So we can have true perceptions of Christ's vision, or miracles, or forgiveness, or letting go. There's many other names for it. You could have called it flow, or intuition, or surrender, or acceptance, salvation, atonement, or one-ment, enlightenment, and awakening, are all terms that are used for this process of correcting our minds, freeing our minds from this dream world and reinterpreting. We need to reinterpret all the circumstances, events, situations, people, whatever else happens in time and space, from now the perspective of the true self of the Christ. So that gives us true perceptions. And the more we do that, the more we are tapping into our pure formless awareness of perfect love. And so we ascend from this level and we go back through corrected perception. We ultimately unify our mind with pure formless awareness of perfect love. And that's how we find our way back home. Otherwise, we'd be lost in perception forever. So we need this mechanism of changing our perception to change our minds. Yeah, so does that make a bit of sense? So that's really, what the whole methodology of the course is saying. That we work at this level in the domain of illusion. We have true awareness of this coming from our true self. And the more we do that, the more we identify with this true self or Christ, the closer we get to this state of awareness, because that's all it is, pure formless awareness of perfect love. Does that kind of unpack these lines for you a bit? See what's happening. So true awareness, the world brings peace to every mind through my letting go. So at this level, so we're at level 2. He says we're in the world. The true awareness, which derives from this pure formless awareness, but has been stepped down into your Christ mind, now perceives correctly and says, True awareness brings peace to every mind through my letting go. So at this level, I'm letting go of these experiences. I'm not attaching to them. I'm experiencing peace myself. And then naturally, when I do that, I'm bringing peace to every mind. I'm contributing to peace. It's the thought system of peace that will ultimately bring peace to everyone. In practice, that might take a long, long time. But in that moment, real time, that's what I'm doing. And he's asking us to acknowledge that. So I do this at this level, and then that will ultimately unite me. I am the means, pure formless awareness of perfect love is appointed for the awakening of the world. So then he's going back up to level 1 and saying, well, this is all appointed. It's all directed by coming from there. At the top level ultimately, and then stepping down through these intermediate layers. So this is really what the Holy Trinity means. It's not something that most Christian theologians or even Christians understand, never mind the theologians. But it's actually a device for correcting the mind. Ultimately, at this level, there is no separation. So there is no separate self. There's no Christ, and there's no people, things, places, events, circumstances, anything happening in time and space. But while we seem to be here, it's necessary to start where we are, in the dream world, in the level of all the experiences, and then correct our minds and raise ourselves up into the true self and the Christ, and then into the top level 1. And that's a process. This entire course, it's mind training. It's about taking us from here, being really identified with our character in the dream of time and space, and suffering because of it, and helping us through this mind training to reinterpret things from a true perspective. And so we can't just go straight from here to there. It's too big of a jump. We need an intermediate step, and that is to correct our perception and start more and more unifying our minds with this. So the closer we get to who we really are, true self, the more we become aware of God, and we all pure formless awareness of perfect love. And ultimately, God takes the final step. So we've really corrected our perception, or misperceptions. God takes the final step. Pure formless awareness of perfect love becomes us. We merge back into it, and there is nothing else at that level. This level, there's nothing else. There's only this awareness. All other awareness drops away. So at this level, you don't need the idea of Christ, a true self, as any kind of self-concept. And you don't need anything on the level of the dream. So all of this is cancelled out. And in the end, the Holy Trinity is one because its source is one. So in the end, there is only pure form, source, perfect love. Okay, does that make some sense?
It's quite a leap.
To go from here.
For my
To go from here to here.
Sure. Much as
and the reason why we practice is because it is quite a leap. It's a totally opposite reality, and he knows that you're not just going to jump straight from here, being rooted in illusion, into pure formless awareness, perfect love. It's going to take some adjustment, and some time, and that's why we do the mind training. So it's about changing your perception systematically and progressively. So you strengthen your Christ self, and you're letting go of your false ideas of what this is all about. You strengthen this identification with your source, and slowly but surely that starts to bring more and more of this awareness into your mind. You start to become clearer, more peaceful, more loving, until eventually there's no gap. Eventually says, well, God takes the final step, because your awareness is so pure already that you're virtually there. the final step would be a letting go of the body and just a surrendering into this awareness, which is your natural state. In this world, everyone's terrified of death. Like, oh, you're going to die. But actually, there's nothing to be terrified of. This is heaven. This is beauty. This is peace and joy. Why wouldn't you want to experience that? There's no good reason. It doesn't have a good reason. Actually, there's no good reason why you wouldn't want to experience that. You do want to experience that. You do want to go back and return your mind to that state. Okay, so it's a methodology for helping you to get from that level in the dream world to back into pure formless awareness in a quite a systematic, progressive way, because you can change your perceptions and you can accept the miracles day by day, moment by moment, which prepare your mind to ultimately merge with this.
It's a kind of unlearning, isn't it? Because we've been taught from very early on that, this is the physical world we live in. With all the ego stuff. So it's unlearning and relearning. And that's, it does take time.
And that's the only thing that time is for. Time is useful until you've learned this. Once you've learned this, and you've merged back into your true awareness, time is not necessary because you've learned everything. Nothing more to learn.
Yeah.
But while we're here, he's asking us to use our experiences in time and space constructively by applying this teaching of letting go of forgiveness.
Yeah.
So whatever is triggering us, whatever's negative here, that's unpleasant, that's seemingly painful in any way, making us suffer, our job is to let it go.
Yeah.
Completely, ultimately. So in the end, complete letting go would mean that this level doesn't even exist anymore in your mind. There's not a level of reality that you can acknowledge.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't acknowledge it, at the moment.
Acknowledge it, and this is a process. So you're not just going to go from here to here, boom, like that. I mean, very occasionally that can happen, but it's pretty unusual. That does happen. So for most people, it's a slow, progressive, systematic process of correcting perceptions, changing your mind, situation by situation, miracle by miracle, forgiveness lesson by forgiveness lesson, so that you just start, identifying much more with this true self. Eventually, you identify yourself only as that. You know that the false self that made all this up and is continuously in the red, in some form of stress, pain, suffering. None of that's true. You realize this is a total lie. The entire world's a lie. There's only this awareness, and you just merge into that awareness. We need time, and we need space, and we need these experiences that seem to happen in time and space to give us the lessons we need and make this journey back to pure formless awareness of perfect love. So quite simple, really. It's just understanding what the Holy Trinity is, and that this is an operating system. I call it an operating system for your life. This is an operating system. That's what the Holy Trinity is. It's not absolute truth. Absolute truth lies here in pure formless awareness of perfect love. But it's a useful reflection of truth in this world, because it helps you to change your mind about all this stuff, not get bound into it. And ultimately awaken to who you really are, if you just follow the process, which is very comforting. Saying, well, look, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, you don't have to be a spiritual genius, just follow the process, which I've created exactly to help you. It says in the workbook, often you won't even agree with these ideas, you won't understand them necessarily, but practice them anyway, because you're training your mind on some level. Okay, so this is really what he's pointing to in this. All of that sort of underpins all of this, but this is why we discuss it and unpack it, so that you can understand the deeper kind of teachings and metaphysics behind this kind of a lesson, which on the face of it seems to be quite easy, quite simple. All right, so happy with any questions on number 3? No? Kim?
Me? No, no questions at the moment.
No.
Okay, Kim? Nothing?
No questions, Jono.
Okay, and then this just takes us into number 4. So if you can read that, Kim, let's close out the lesson, and then what I generally do, Mo, is guided meditation on it. So you actually get to experience it. Having looked at it, discussed it, you actually get to experience the state of mind that he's pointing in your own experience through the meditation. Okay, so number 4.
If you close your eyes, you will probably find it easier to let the related thoughts come to you in the minute or 2 that you should devote to considering this. Do not, however, wait for such an opportunity. No chance should be lost for reinforcing today's idea. Remember that God's Son looks to you for his salvation. So I see I'm reading the whole paragraph.
No, it's okay. That's not going to change much. That's fine.
Okay.
And then just when we get to words like God's Son, that's going to be a translated version. So if you want to read that, number 4. Remember that perfect love's.
Okay. I'll start with the first one. Remember that God's Son looks to you for his salvation. Remember that perfect love's extension looks to you for his awakening.
Let's make that it's awakening. So you become the example, saying, you know, everyone who's unawakened will look to you. You become an example, way show. So salvation we just translate as awakening from the dream. Again, just change most people's understanding a little bit. Okay, and then number 5, who but yourself.
And who but yourself must be perfect love's extension.
That yourself must be perfect love's extension. So you see here how he's put in diagrammatic form. You are the extension of perfect love. So perfect love is level 1, but you get extended, and this self, capital self, is the Christ. This is your true self. So you can identify with this true self. You're not fully in pure formless awareness, but it's very connected to it. And this true self can then interpret the world for you. True perceptions and Christ's vision come about. And so he's asking us, he's saying, well, do this, install this operating system, listen to your true self, correct your perceptions, and you will ultimately restore your mind back to this after you've had a happy, productive dream. Okay, so who but yourself must be perfect love's extension. Diagrammatically, often it's helpful to see it shown, so you start to understand these are the relationships. This is how the Holy Trinity actually works. Okay, so any questions on that? The Holy Trinity, this lesson. Perhaps Kim, you just want to give us a little summary. What's he actually saying in this final paragraph and in the lesson? What is he saying in summary in this lesson? Or in this paragraph? This paragraph.
I think he's saying that any opportunity or any chance you get is to reinforce this idea and to remember that, well, if we are perfect love's extension, all of us, it's for me, it's for you, it's for everyone, for our awakening. And our true self must be perfect love's extension.
Everything is happening for your awakening. This is a very key understanding, of course. Whatever seems to happen, especially if it's negative and you get triggered, it's happening for your awakening. Because you need to get the trigger, needs to get triggered in order to become aware of the thoughts and the emotions that are blocking your awareness of love's presence. So it's very necessary. This stuff triggers you so that you can see those blocks, and then you can choose to let them go. Otherwise, it remains buried in your subconscious, and you don't know that those blocks are even there. You'll experience them as coming through, and negative thoughts and emotions, no doubt. And without a mechanism, you have to have a mechanism of getting out, releasing ourselves from these blocks, climbing back up the ladder, going and restoring our mind to pure formless awareness of perfect love. And so I think, if you look at other spiritual teachings, I've got reference to Buddha there, and the Atman is Eastern idea for soul, for something similar. But I haven't seen it as clearly in other teachings. The Buddha talked about no self. So no self and nirvana are just this pure awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, we call it. It's just, there's nothing to do. But without a self, then how do you even perceive the world? See, there's the problem, there's the dilemma. Without some kind of self-concept, how do you even have a perception? Because who's perceiving? So the Christ allows you to have the higher self, still perceive in the world, but the perceptions are correct. The perceptions are true perceptions. And without that intermediary, without this idea of a Christ self, and then the ability to reinterpret and have true perceptions of Christ's vision, how are you going to find your way back? How are you going to get from here, seemingly separated experience as a human being, living out in time and space? How are you going to get from there to here? It seems an awfully long way and a huge stretch. So he's giving us, the genius of this course, he's giving us the methodology through this Holy Trinity. We can just start letting go of all of this stuff, and when we start letting go, we start perceiving more of our Christ self or true self. So then ultimately becomes a replacement for all of this, and it will restore our minds ultimately to pure formless awareness of perfect love, where even the idea of Christ and certainly the body and everything it's made of are simply dissolved, and there's just this awareness and nothing else. Okay, does that lesson make sense? Happy? Any other questions? It's a way of diving these lessons. When we discuss them, you see, it becomes kind of a catalyst for a deeper discussion. We look at some of these deep ideas and the metaphysics, and that's how you learn what this thought system is really all about. Okay, so Yeah, any questions, Kim or Mo, on this? Otherwise, let's be happy to do a meditation. I'll guide you through a little meditation on it. So you can just close your eyes, relax. And, all right, so let's lesson. Okay, so just you can put yourself on mute, sitting comfortably. Sitting comfortably in your favorite meditation posture, your feet shoulder width apart, back straight. Just cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So maximal inhale breath. Just clench your sphincter muscles. So if you've ever done yoga, that's the root lock in yoga. Kind of locks the energy in. If you haven't, just try and lock the energy in. Okay, so just taking a nice deep breath in. And like the energy is rising up the spine, pulling it into your heart center, putting one hand on your heart to connect with your heart space. Bringing your attention into the present moment. Just focusing on subtle sensations of the breath and the body. And drawing the energy up your spine. This warm wave of energy flooding up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. So now just scan your mind. So noticing any thoughts, any emotion, related body sensations, particularly if it feels negative or limiting, contracted, constricting in any way. And you breathe into it. Sense of being willing to observe it. Whatever those thoughts and emotions are, we could see them as just something independent, an objective view. And you just exhale it all out. Remind yourself that my true awareness, true awareness of the world brings peace to every mind through my letting go. I am the means, pure formless awareness of perfect love is appointed for the awakening of the world. So I exhale. Blow it all out. The breeze of your breath. The nothingness that it really is. Spelling the last remaining air out. And darkness leaving you. It's like a dark cloud or black smoke leaving your mouth. It's going, gone. The nothingness that it really is. So just rest here for a few moments in this peace. You know, a glimpse experientially of what this pure formless awareness of perfect love really means. Drop into it, experience it. Fully, completely. Say to yourself, true awareness of the world brings peace to every mind, to my mind, and to every mind through my letting go. When I let go, I bring peace. Peace to my mind. It is a great gift. A world that is so turbulent, chaotic, changing all the time. It's a great gift to be able to find this deep peace of mind. Not sometime in the past or the future, but right now. So just surrendering into that, feeling in again. And so I'm going to rest here in this deep peace, peace of pure formless awareness, the peace that surpasses all understanding. For a couple of minutes, nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about, just sink into this deeper peace in your mind. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is you, and it wants to extend into and through you. And just resting in this deep peace of the light, your pure formless awareness. It's your own pure awareness of just perfect love, allowing the experience to arise. You don't have to intellectualize it, think about it, analyze it, break it down, evaluate. None of those movements of the ego mind are helpful. Just surrender to it. So you just let go, surrendering, letting go, and letting God, they say, surrender into it. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, and nothing else to think about. Just please relax, be still. And you sink into this deeper awareness. There's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, nothing else to think about, and just and if any thoughts come in to seemingly challenge that, disturb this deep peace, thoughts about time, space, experiences in this world. Just breathe in again and just notice those. Some of the crazy thoughts, negative thoughts, emotions. That block our awareness of love's presence. So be aware of anything like that. Imagine it's like a dark cloud in your mind, or black smoke. Breathe into it. So imagine you're breathing in this beautiful golden or white light, feeling into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the light of true awareness, pure formless. So you just blow it all away, let it all go. the breeze of your breath, into the nothingness that it really is. So just blow it all away, the breeze of your breath as you exhale. Imagine it's like a dark cloud or black smoke leaving you. It's going, gone. Expel the last remaining air out. Spawn into nothingness that it already was. And sink into this deep peace and stillness beyond all illusions. Sink into this awareness, this deeper awareness. A couple of minutes of deep silence. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Just experience this pure formless awareness, perfect love, and only that for the next 2 minutes or so of deep silence. Yeah, so just gently coming back to an awareness of the body, breath, senses, and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile. Scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, emotions. Particularly anything that feels negative. Noticing contracted or constricting in any way, shape, or form. Remind yourself of today's lesson that the true awareness of the world brings peace to every mind through my letting go. I am the means, pure formless awareness of perfect love has appointed for the awakening of the world. And so I exhale. Exhale, I blow it out. Let go of all that darkness, that negativity. It's going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest in the stillness and the peace for a few moments. On the count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching. There's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose. Notice that. Notice what you're hearing, the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm and surrendered state of mind. State of mind that's in true awareness. True awareness allows true perception to happen. And that brings peace to every mind through your letting go. So it is said and so it is done. So now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So open your eyes, look around. Just take a minute to look around, observing everything in this very calm, peaceful way, true awareness of the world. Just sees everything peacefully, calmly, sees the underlying essence, underlying awareness. It is really the same in everything. Great course lessons is God. It's in everything I see because God is in my mind. So this pure formless awareness of perfect love is in everything I see because it's in my mind. Have a sense of that as you look at all these objects in the room around you. There's this deeper awareness, underlying awareness that everyone's missing, but it's there. And in that awareness comes peace, inevitably. In that awareness comes peace and awakening to who we really are. So just to anchor this state of mind, this holy perception, true awareness into your mind for the rest of the session, if we're going to carry on, the rest of the evening and on into your week. So it is said and so it is done. And so On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. They will close and just look around, bring yourself back into this world and fully awake, aware, ready to continue if you'd like to. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. So let's check in. So Kim, it's just you and me. Would you like to do a bit of the text?
Jono, I need to go. I was hoping to have joined from the beginning. Unfortunately, something came up and it didn't work out that way. But
Yeah, it's okay.
I need to go. But thank you. I enjoyed the meditation and the going through the lesson. Yeah,
no problem. I'll just do the text. I've done most of the translation, so I'll put it out there. I'll personalize it and send out the document so you can read it if you'd like to. A little bit later. Or bed, it'll probably take me half an hour to an hour to do. And I'll see you in a week. Let me just actually stop the share, stop my